They're broken down and defeated, deterred, busy and confused, sleeping. You're dying while I wait you to get started on the journey chosen, wasted, no selected. I was so bad, what happened? Fall out of the sky and crush me in my smile. I was so bad, what happened? Fall out of the sky and crush me in my smile. Silver sand jaded, they're not coming, they're broken down and defeated. You are dying while I wait you to get started. You are dying while I wait you to get started. I was so bad, what happened? Fall out of the sky, yeah. Crush me in my smile. I was so bad, what happened? Fall out of the sky and crush me in my smile.
I'm a motherfucking unicorn, a one-of-one. The vibe being the loving light, the enlightened one. My karma is interstellar, I live by truth. Fighting evil, my scars are living proof. Protecting you from the storms with all my might. Love me, I will treat you right. You ever cross me, it's the last thing you'll ever do. With my crown of thorns, I'll wreck you. I ain't playing, yo, Reinhardt, call me a saint. Too bad Chris, because Bigfoot knows my name. I'm a messenger of God, with loyalty I serve, taking out all evil with his holy word. A true Knights Templar, sword in hand, slice you up, bury you in the sand. I'm a motherfucking unicorn, you'll never find anyone like me. Born in the Bronx, raised in NYC, so listen up, take heed. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. A true Knights Templar, sword in hand, slice you up, bury you in the sand. I'm a motherfucking unicorn, you'll never find anyone like me. Born in the Bronx, raised in NYC, so listen up, take heed. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Hello, everybody. I hope people can hear me. So let me know if you can. If you can't, we'll find out. Always having an audio problem here and there. So we have a great guest tonight, Jessica Jones, the Cryptid Huntress. She's coming on in 1 second, but Jessica is a paranormal investigator or a remote viewer based in northwestern Georgia. Sorry. She's an active field researcher and member of Enigma Research Group, ERG, Anomalous Studies and Observation Group, OSOG, and the North Georgia Cryptid Researchers, and NGCR. They're all action-oriented research groups which conduct field research associated with all things paranormal, particularly Bigfoot. These groups have attained a groundbreaking evidence at several paranormal hotspots and hubs in the southeastern United States, comparable to the infamous Skinwalker Ranch, which is amazing. What sets her apart from other groups is that they are trained in remote viewing. In addition to utilizing remote viewing in research, the research field, Jessica assists in missing person cases. She has a radio show across the globe. Jessica is a host of Spaced Out Radio with her own show, Off the Trails, with the best encrypted field research and real encounters with Big Man, Dogman, and other creatures around the world. And she has a weekly show on YouTube, the Cryptid Huntress, on cryptids, remote viewing, field research, and other paranormal topics. Let's just bring her in. So, hi, Jessica. And let me swap you out. I hope you can hear me. Of course, when you're doing a show, just at the last minute, your headset and your microphone does the wonky stuff, right? Because they don't want
always. Yeah, it always happens.
Now I got these headphones like I'm calling in a defensive play for some football team. But how are you tonight? It's good to see you again.
I'm doing excellent. Busy as always, but I am doing great. It's so good to see you again. It's time for us to catch up.
Definitely. I've been meaning to try to give you a couple of phone calls. I know you're a busy lady doing what you do, and because I remote view naturally, and I call it remote viewing for a long, long time. According to the psychic for our group, who's in Arkansas, who is my Yoda, and her name is Cindy Bailey Dove. She says, she's always said, "You're a psychic like me. You're a psychic like me." And I didn't want to come off as a psychic, but would you agree that with everything you're doing remote viewing wise, and with the other members of all these different groups, ERG, and I want to talk about each one, ASOG and NGCR. They're all pretty much remote viewing. And do you think there are other abilities that you're using right now, besides remote viewing abilities, like, psychic abilities, whatever you want to call the clairs or what have you?
Oh yeah, I mean, we utilize all of our psychic skills. Okay, it's so remote viewing to me with our teams, it's just a scientific way to use our psychic abilities, right?
Oh, something just happened. Hold on 1 second.
Is everything okay?
This
it
is
sounds
crazy.
good on my end. Do you have an extra tab open, maybe? That happens to me.
I apologize to everybody right now. You know what? I shouldn't play with things before I start the show. That's what I should do. But
that always happens to me.
Really, my evening went downhill real quick, real fast, and and this is the best. This is the highlight of it. You are the highlight. I swear to God. But we'll discuss. So you were saying again, and I apologize.
Oh, don't apologize. Don't apologize. I've got my dog right here beside me too. Hopefully she won't start snoring tonight. She likes to snore when I go live.
So does Ron Murphy when we do a show together.
Ron snores.
I swear to God, he was snoring. We did. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Shout out to Ron.
Shout out to Ron. Who is the crypto guru? See, difference. Cryptid Huntress, crypto guru. Yeah. But he was working like quadruple shifts, and he snored on an episode. And let me tell you, and I couldn't even text him. His phone wasn't on. It was just miserable. But continue on.
Oh, that's when you hit the mute button. Okay, that's a handy dandy button.
This was during Skype, the Skype days. Remember the Skype days, right?
Oh man, disaster! I bet he'll never do that again. bet.
No,
You get
no,
to
he
know.
was no, 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 no. He wouldn't do it. Uh,
Yeah. Okay. Well, we do utilize all of our psychic skills in the field, and so remote viewing to me is into our teams is more like of a scientific way to kind of chart out our psychic data. It's all about data
right.
when it comes to the type of remote viewing that we do, and so it's just data. Okay, but in order to learn remote viewing, you have to really hone in and really work on your psychic abilities of all types. The clairaudience, I mean, um,
Right.
clairsentient. I mean, we have to even notice like energy shifts. I mean, it's almost like being a Jedi. Okay, if you want to
Yep.
compare it to that, you have to. It's almost like being a ninja, a psychic ninja.
A psychic ninja is a great example. Put
Yes,
the hood up. Go
psychic
out there.
spy, psychic ninjas, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and
That's awesome.
yeah. So we do a lot of exercises. We did a lot of exercises all the years that I was training in it. Um, Even learning to notice energy shifts, recognizing people's energy when you're around them, and using like dowsing rods to even like project negative thoughts towards somebody, and then projecting positive thoughts towards somebody, and using your dowsing rods to like see where the energy like how the energy hits and how far it
Right.
goes and all that kind of stuff. Like we're always doing stuff like that. It's so cool.
So
Um,
you actually, if I may interrupt for a second, so you will project a negative
mhm,
thought to somebody to kind of clarify the dowsing rods?
yes. Well, no,
I
you
didn't
hold your
even
dowsing
ever
rods
even
out.
thought of that,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, it's part of the training. It's part of our Jedi training. Okay. And it's we
Ah,
taking your copper dowsing rods. So we
right.
all had them, and you partner up with somebody. And I had a really hard time with this because I love everybody. I try to love everybody until they're not nice. And so everybody on my team has been super great. And so when I had to have a negative thought towards we partnered up, and I was like, I don't hate you. This is
Right.
not going to work for me. But I was like, slap
I,
me or
yeah.
something. I'm just kidding. But we ended up doing that, and they were like, well, don't think about me, think about your ex or something. Okay. Then you pretend like I'm your ex. I was like, oh God,
Well,
I hate
sometimes that works.
I can do
Sometimes I
that.
guess it doesn't. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we did that, and you can see there's a difference. The energy moves, it shifts, and it projects according upon how you're how you're projecting it, and even just feeling angry, it puts off an energy around you, and it's like your aura just it infiltrates the whole room. Okay, like when like they say one bad apple ruins the whole bunch, right? That's
oh
kind of
yeah,
how
it
it is.
does.
Yeah, that's how it is with people's energy.
It's really interesting how you and I are I think similar. Like I don't want to have negative energies anymore against anybody, or
Right.
um I don't want to project that. That was an older, different lifetime Brian. I'm all about I'm not about sucking it up, mind you. Like, if something negative happens, but you know what I'm saying? It's like I'm trying to be more positive with everything. So, and we have
Trying to be
BMR in the
loving.
house. Yeah.
What's
I
up,
want
BMR?
to because it's just I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to harm anybody. I don't want to do any of these crazy things for people. And so, yeah, I would have a hard time also um, projecting that negative. Like, think about someone
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, I'll think about a couple of people.
Yeah. I can't be mad at them, but I can think about somebody else that I don't like. Okay.
Yeah.
So so anyways, I made it work. I made it work. And but that's kind of stuff we do. And so we utilize all of this in the field. And
Right.
really it's all about energy. And I think that is why my teams have really good track records when it comes to cryptid contact. Okay, ET contact, and that may not be a good thing. ET contact. I'm not saying that's a wonderful thing. I've had plenty of it.
So have I. It's
Yeah,
not a wonderful thing. Keep
it's not.
going. Yeah.
It's not. I mean, I always say I'm kind of indifferent to it a little bit. It's like it wasn't bad. It wasn't good. Okay. And hopefully and luckily I don't remember most of it. So that's good. But
Yeah, I don't. Same thing here. Keep going. It's
so
because do you really want to? Honestly, I had a friend named Derek Tyler. I don't know if I got to be honest. He had some, he's working out some problems. He's in the West Coast, multiple abductee, but not only just extraterrestrials, government. And when we had an experience in the 2015, I played. He goes, "It sounds like you're downloaded," and I told him we're going to be thinking about getting regressed. He goes, "Well, how do you sleep?" And I said, "What do you mean? How do I sleep?" I'm like, "I guess I sleep okay or whatever." He goes, "No. He wants to know if I have nightmares or whatever. And I didn't have nightmares he goes, "Then don't get regressed because once you open that Pandora's box." So you know what? I don't want to get regressed from that. I really don't, which is weird, right?
It's not weird. Absolutely not. I've done maybe 1 or 2 regressions before. Okay. And it was on specific kind of over specific things that happened in my life and it did involve the woo. Let's just say.
Got a lot of woo in this chat. We got Filthy here.
We do.
And we got Straw Dog. We got a lot of people from the woo zone. So you
shout
bring
out
in a
to
lot
Spaced
of
Out
fans.
Radio.
Yeah, shout out. Dave won't come on yet until hockey season's over.
Oh gosh, come on, Dave.
No.
Priorities, Dave.
I get it. Well, priorities is his son. And his son plays hockey, so
I'm
with him on that. But
Me too.
Dave Scott's he's gonna make sure that he mentions I have like 9,558 podcasts. So
man, it's gone up. Yes, got a bunch. I love it.
I hope.
I love Dave. Well, shout out to Dave Scott too and Filthy. What's up? So
interrupt. I apologize.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, but I think that like my teams, we have more contact potentially because we have been working out our psychic muscles for so long, and we are on that frequency that I think a lot of these cryptids are, as far as the communication goes with them, and so we stand out like a sore thumb out in the woods, shining those lights really bright, and so that's a good tool to have in the toolbox when you're cryptid hunting.
100%, and it's just something that I also try to. I agree with you on 100%. When you vibrate at a higher frequency, and you're vibrating in that zone, the remote viewing zone, you're catching glimpses of what you need to catch. You are on the same platform as a lot of these cryptids, and then when they see somebody new, they're like, "Ooh, who's the new guy? Who's that new girl over there? Let's go find out." And they go, you get taken because they want to know why are you there and what makes you special, which is kind of cool. But you guys often have, when you're doing an investigation, let's say it's cryptid, Bigfoot. Let's go with Bigfoot first, because Dogman, I just hate that cryptid. I hate him. Hate it. Do you always or have UFO based type of activity or higher beings that eventually you sense, we're being watched by guardians or whatever it is in the field?
Yes, we almost always have ET activity, and it wasn't until I started doing Bigfoot field research that I started getting visited in my bedroom at night by ETs. Yeah, so it was I got on the radar. I think I'd always been on the radar, though. Obviously, I was, but I had remembered having people standing by my bed at night when I would wake up, and then when I went out into the field and I started having UFO activity and close encounters with UFOs and things like that in the field while I was Bigfooting, I was waking up with the same exact scenario, but with the ET standing there instead of a 18th century Victorian era dressed person. So I'm thinking now that those were actually screen memories, and those were ETs the entire time. But I wasn't capable of understanding or even dealing with the fact that I might have ETs in my bedroom when I was younger.
Yeah, I don't recall. I mean, I recall weird things, but it was so. I wasn't into this. I was into the subject of the stories of ghosts and Bigfoot. Didn't hear about Dogman until way later. And my apartment building is haunted. It's on a piece of a lot of events. The land is the problem, and then it infiltrates the apartment building. And I did use an Anomalous at one point, and I started getting hits, and then I researched the hits, and they all connected to the Civil War between a naval person and an artillery person, and they were after the same girl. And when you look up these people, you will see they had. I mean, you couldn't have made this up. This was just all the little hits. So, but one of the guys, he got mortally wounded in the stomach, the gut area, like the pancreas. And everybody from one line of apartments all had pancreatic problems between cancer and insulin dependent. So it can be very, very dangerous. But those, I didn't think there were ETs. I mean, I grew up in New York City, so we've seen some weird things there, but I don't know if there were ETs there. But how does it work? I mean, like this started when you were younger, and it's continued on. Now, with family members like sons and daughters, like, are they coming to you in the middle of the night and like, the gray guy came last night, Mom? You know?
I have a kid. He's 10, about to be 11, and he and I. Well, he's been in the room with me when there were ETs there, in the room, and
so how did he react?
he didn't wake up. My dogs didn't wake up either, which was really concerning to me. But I think I've kind of figured out what that was. I think because I had a really cool conversation with Tony, my buddy Tony Merkel, and I was on his show. I've been on his show a couple times, and he and I were talking about that. And I've woken up at least twice with these crazy ETs in my room. One time I thought I had the Grim Reaper standing by my bed, but it turned out to be like a mantis, like a mantid ET, like a big one with a cloak on and a hood. And
not
so
something you really want to see, right?
No, well, to me, I've seen it all. Okay. So it wasn't that scary. It was just like, I was just trying to make sense of what I was looking at. As long as I don't have a man with a, knife or a gun by my bed, I'm good. Okay. I can deal with it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I mean, but it's a mantis, right?
Yeah.
And it's not if we're not normal people to begin with, but in many ways they wouldn't consider us normal, but you would normally think of a ghost or something human based. And it kind of takes you by surprise when you come up against a mantis or an insectoid or a reptilian or somebody glowing. And some actually Paranormal Newfoundland podcast asks, when you all do remote viewing, do you get better results with the dream state? Which is a good answer, good question. Let's go into that, because can some of these, when you see the mantis, is that a dream state? Is that an awake state, or is it a direct consciousness to consciousness state?
Perfect question. That's where I was headed. And
okay,
that's where we're headed. So I was having I was having that conversation with Tony Merkel, and I was like, it's the weirdest thing, because my son, I was married at the time, and my husband at the time had left for work already, and it was still dark outside. It was probably 4 or 5 in the morning, maybe. And it was dark, and I had 2 dogs, Zoe and Max, were there, and they would alert to anything. I mean, they were my guard dogs. And I remember them laying there, and I could see them laying there. They weren't waking up. And there was a person this happened a couple different times, but this particular time they weren't waking up. And I was like, there's a person standing by my bed right now. And I was like, why are they not awake? And it was that typical thing where, like, I kind of like couldn't move, but I've been taught with the remote viewing training, like, start moving one of your fingers, and then your body will start to move, and you can wake up out of whatever this is. And if you're asleep, and you see if you're awake or asleep. And so I started tapping that finger like crazy. I was like, oh God, what is this? I'm tapping. I was like, okay, get the hell up, Jess. I don't know if you're asleep. My eyes were open. I felt my eyes open. And, but nobody was waking up. And my son had been put in the bed beside me. Okay. And so he was laying right beside me. He was like 2 years old at the time. He was little. And And so I was just tapping my finger, and Tony made a good point. He goes, well, what if you woke up like you were asleep, but you were in your dream body still? You're in the astral.
Right.
And you were just not exactly in the 3-dimensional reality with your dogs and your son. You were in your body, but you were above it a little bit. And you were in their realm. And so that's how that worked. I was in both places at once. You know what I mean? And so it made way more sense.
Exactly what you mean.
It makes way more sense when you look at it like that, because it wasn't there. Like if my son had woken up, he probably would not have seen it. And here's another thing too, is in that same home. Okay. My team has this place we go research. It's called the Meadow. And we had this portal that opened up there. We sent some teammates into it. They disappeared. Their heat signature disappeared, and they came back out and they reappeared and all this stuff. It's wild. Well, the same night that was happening,
we're gonna bookmark that for a second.
Yeah, we'll come back.
We had this experience. We'll come back. Okay,
we'll come back to that, because that night that happened, I had been at the Meadow with my team, but my son was very young. This was around the same time as all of this craziness with the ETs in my bedroom and everything. Well, I came home that evening, and because I had a son and I couldn't be gone like 2 nights in a row or 3 nights in a row, I needed to be home with him. And so I was gone the night before, and came home, and the team was out there having this portal experience. And around the same exact time they're having that experience there, I'm at home. My son is on the elliptical machine playing around, and his dad was filming him on his video camera or whatever on his phone. And all I hear is, hey, come in here. You got to see this. And I walked in there not knowing that my team's having this historical, supernatural, paranormal moment in the field. And I'm at home, and there's these 2 orbs floating around my son. And they're floating around, and my son is looking at them, and he's like, Mom, ball, Mom. And my ex was, at the time he's my husband, he was filming him. And so you could see in the camera, you could see these 2 balls of light floating around my son. And my son's pointing at them and following them with his finger. And his dad was like, well, I can't see them unless I look through the screen on my phone. But see, I walked in there and I could see them with my eyes. My son could see them with his eyes because he is following them with his finger. You can see him, Mom, ball is what he said. And these things are going around, and he kept, his dad kept saying, I just don't see them. He's like, I can only see them through the camera. And the next thing you know, one of the balls shoots towards the camera, and it powers off the whole camera, and the video ends right there. So that showed me that not everybody is on the same frequency. Like, not all of this is on the frequency. So I was standing by a person who was not seeing anything that I was seeing with my eyes, but he could see it through the technology, through that device. So was he on a low vibe guy? Yes, he was, naturally. Yeah. But I'm not saying, I'm just saying it was a different vibe. I'm not saying that was the cause of him not seeing that. He just wasn't tuned into it. And my son and I are both on that frequency of being there and experiencing it.
Can I just ask you how old your son was when that happened?
I'm going to say he was in pull-ups. Okay, so he had to have been like 3. I'm going to say he was about 3. Yeah.
So he was
2 or 3.
Very, very young at that point.
Yes.
And usually, I mean, I've said this to other people before, that children are always, they're on that frequency constantly. Mm-hmm. That's when they see grandpa, like Papa, they're seeing grandpa because they're able to, like you said, be in both worlds at the same time. Mm-hmm. And as you get more educated, that stuff gets pushed out or behind someplace, and they don't see it as much because they get filled with fodder or whatever you want to call it. And so, but also like your ex-husband or whatever, mm-hmm. if you don't believe and you don't really put the energy and effort, you are vibrating at usually a lower frequency. Mm-hmm. So there's no way you're going to see it. That's why I said to so many people, I'm like, do you have old cell phones? And they're like, yeah, we have a couple old cell. I'm going to take them with you on your investigations right now. Charge them up and use the camera on it. Now, it's not 1080p, but it's a different technology, and you're going to catch stuff on that more so than the newer cameras. and people are
Oh,
having great results. Yeah, because it does. One's more of a true camera versus a digital. Here's my sensor. I'm gonna use an algorithm to sort it out. The other cameras just work better. Um,
yeah.
it's really that's why the old VHS works better because it's a magnetic to magnetic versus allowing a third, an algorithm to decide what's going to be in there or not. So you may want to
Good
just
to
bring a couple
know.
of extra old ones on there.
Yeah, take your Polaroid out there with you.
Yes. Take well, you know what? My buddy up in New York, Al, he takes Polaroids with him every once in a while.
That's
It's just
smart.
it's just so hard to get film, you know.
It
the-
is. I know. They quit
and it's
making
like
it for a
really
while.
yeah, they did, and then they made like another version of it, but it is expensive. It's not like you're getting 25 pictures. So it gets a little bit crazy, but a lot
It
of times,
does.
who is it overseas? Oh my God, I can see his face and I can't remember his name. He was on Ghost Hunters International, um, Irish gentleman. He used to have a camera that would take 4 different shots at the same time. So it'd take UV standard, high
Mhm.
definition, um, like an infrared, and then like a full spectrum of the same thing. Boom, 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 boom. And I forgot his name, but what a great concept! Because if you're in the woods and you're shooting at something like a Bigfoot, now you're getting, um, 4 different images. We always, whenever I take pictures now, everybody's like, "Why do you take so many pictures?" I'm like, "Sorry, foster habit, being on an investigation. Click, click, click.
Right.
Next, click, click, click." You know,
Yeah. I mean, it's just that even a millisecond, anything could change. Something could come in and out of the picture. And some people close your eyes real quick too. If you take a picture.
yeah,
If you're just taking family photos is what I'm talking about though. But yeah, it's great to have all that. And as far as investigations go and stuff, I mean, people are all, Brian, you'd appreciate this. People are all the time sending me pictures of stuff. I don't see what they're talking about when they're like,
I,
there's a Bigfoot in here, a Dogman. I'm like, okay,
I,
I don't see it, but okay. But I'm not discounting what they're telling me. I just don't see it. And
I
a lot
don't
of
see it
times
either.
they're so dead set on what they're seeing in these pictures, and that's why I don't show a whole lot of pictures like that on my shows. If I don't see it, it doesn't go on the TV, okay, or on the screen
I,
or whatever.
I don't blame you at all for that
Yeah,
because it's I don't want to upset people, and people get upset when you don't see what they see. So they're
that's okay.
seeing something. No, no,
We're
no.
not saying we're not seeing it though. It's just like I was saying too. Is I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's like I see something and my ex didn't see anything. Okay, I'm not
Yeah,
discounting their story. It's not if I don't see it, to present it to the public. That's different. Because people are going to look at you like, oh, I need another red circle and this and that, and that's fine. But I don't know. It's just a matter of perception, I guess, when it comes to all that stuff too. So if I
yeah.
don't see it, I don't show it on my show.
I
That's
don't. I
all.
don't. I don't. Hey, April. I don't. She's great. She helped me out a couple days ago. It was out of the blue. There are no coincidences, so I can't even thank her enough. But well yeah. She was talking about guides, but it's like I I usually tell people like there's not enough information here to give you an honest answer, or whatever,
Mhm.
just to kind of because I don't see it. Or we had a group out of New York State that would use a special filter and it wasn't special. And if you play around with certain parts of an image, it brings muddy stuff out for other people, you
Oh,
know.
it does.
So yeah, you don't want. I don't. I have a shirt that I came out with. It's a black shirt and it just has red circles and says "Real Bigfoot."
Real
You know?
Bigfoot.
Yeah, so it's all the circle. Here.
Yeah.
Like, did you see all those 7 Bigfoot? And like, that's
That's
so.
funny.
Yeah, I
That's
don't.
funny. Well,
Yeah,
it doesn't mean it's not there. It just means that we don't see it. Speaking of
right.
somebody who has the most amazing Bigfoot evidence is Flat Rock. I saw he just entered the chat. What's up, Flat Rock? That's my buddy out of Alabama.
Really? Okay.
Yes, Flat Rock's here.
Hey,
So
there he is, and it's good to see you. I'd love to see some of it. I've been I've been dealing with a lot of life stuff right now, so maybe I need some of that evidence right there, Flat Rock. So go check them
Yeah,
out.
you have to get Flat Rock on sometime.
Oh, I definitely will. Just reach out. Our email address is scrolling across the bottom.
Well, he's got to come on my show first.
No, go on Jessica's first.
Just
Sir.
kidding.
100%. I'm not fighting over guests.
I'm kidding.
But
was
yeah,
a
we
joke.
had a question while we're since we're talking about this. And the question is, for you both, have you felt awareness of being watched since childhood? I have and still do. Is it that paranormal or what? Paranoia or what? Things are happening, and I wonder if I'm going nuts. Welcome to the club. I mean,
Yes, I have been watched since
Yeah.
I was a kid. I felt like it. That's why I hated lace curtains, Brian.
yeah.
My parents had lace curtains on my house. I grew up on a farm out in the middle of nowhere, and my mom put up lace curtains, and I just felt like I was being watched. Hey, William. Hey,
Come
I feel
on,
like
Brian Griller. Yeah, I am. I don't do
Griller.
that to I don't do that to friends. I don't do that to anybody. Actually, it's whatever. But yeah, I mean,
Dang it, William.
would you purposely go like around the corner, or like if there was a door and you can hide behind the door to do things, like for example changing or whatever? I have two daughters, so when they were younger they used to do some really weird things. They would hide in order to do things so they wouldn't be like they were being watched. Which is weird. I was like, what are you doing? And nothing. But they both have abilities. The older of the two used to literally spent like a year and change in between me and the missus, and we have this at the end of the bed is a big mirror on top of the dresser, and she's looking in the mirror like you see something, and I noticed it immediately because this is what we do, right? And she was like hiding underneath it, but the
Oh,
other one, yeah.
yeah. That's my son is really in tune with all this stuff too. And of course he was seeing the orbs. I take him out and he goes with me a lot of times when we go Bigfooting, not like when I'm on the real research weekends and weeks with my
Right.
team, but he goes out. I take him camping quite a bit. And he has actually seen a Bigfoot. He saw his first Bigfoot this past year with me and two of the guys on the team. Yeah, so he's experienced Bigfoot several. Well, I'm going to say he's experienced it a couple of times, not several,
Right.
couple, but he's seen it once, and so he is very in tune, very switched on psychically too. He comes from a long line of psychic people, so of course he's tuned in a little bit.
So is that both sides of the family?
Yes.
Or just
Yeah.
so your former that
Oh,
family.
his side. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely not. Just my side of the family. Okay.
So
I don't know about his other side. His dad was definitely not psychic at all. He might have been, but I don't know. I don't think so.
So but for you, did it come through the parental, the mother line, the maternal, or the paternal, or both?
Both. It was both. Mostly my mother's side, and it's wild because I come from a very religious family, and
Right.
and my mom, my grandmother, my great grandmother, okay, especially, she never attributed some of the things that happened to her. She had an alien abduction. Actually, I believe it was an alien abduction back in 1980. She and my great aunt were driving down a highway in Northwest Georgia, and at night, and a light came down over their car, and it enveloped the whole car. And they said the next thing they know, they looked up, and the next thing they know, they were like a couple of counties over, or a county over. It was like 20 miles down the road, and they don't know how they got there. And they said that it was just totally confusing. But both of them, being good Christian ladies, were like, it was angels. Angels took us out of harm's way. And
Praise the Lord.
that was the only explanation they ever gave to that, and never even entertained the fact that it might have been aliens or anything like that.
I don't know how old they were and if they're still alive or not. And
No, they both had passed away. My great grandmother would have been well over 100 something years old today.
Well, apparently
So
there's a couple of people
yeah,
that are 200 plus years old getting
I
Social
know. I
Security
saw
in
that.
this country. So,
There's some
but
that are over 300. I saw.
yeah, I was like, damn, I don't know what they're
What the
taking.
heck?
But the reason why I'm asking is towards the tail end. It's really funny when you become an adult from grandparents and aunts and uncles. You start growing up. You start learning things because they're like, oh, he's not a kid anymore, or she's not a kid anymore, and they start telling you stuff. But they always admitted it was angels, not aliens.
Yeah, it's all about perspective. It really is. But then you get into this cryptid stuff for long enough, and you're out in the field doing research, and then when you go, I didn't go public for 10 years, Brian, about my research at all, and and there's reasons for that, and I can see why. As soon as I went public, you got your lovers, you got your haters. Okay.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we know.
So
yeah, no, I know.
I can see why people don't go public with it, but yeah, it's
but you do have your lovers. There's plenty of them. Look.
Yeah, there's plenty of them. Hey, JoJo, what's up?
Yay, it's Jessica Jones. Yes, it is Jessica Jones.
Lovers and your haters. That's right.
You know what? I just ignore. I don't give the energy to the haters.
Yeah, it's not good too.
Yeah, it was. So in New York State, they do up in Pine Bush in New York, which is the East Coast Roswell for the most part. That's what they call it. We were set, Al Santoriga and myself were set to do a speech there, and we kind of got screwed around with the original people doing it. Al was redder than red. The steam was coming out, and I was tired and I didn't want to do it. So I had to take over. And when you always get these wise asses,
right.
And one guy thought he was going to be clever and cute. And he goes, seeing that there's nothing faster than the speed of light, why can't how can we tell whatever? And I said, no, that there is something faster than the speed of light.
Oh God.
And he's like, well, there's nothing faster. I said, yes, thought. And he was like, well, and I'm like, no, thought is faster than the speed of light. And I said, if you want, I can show you, bring out a blackboard. We'll start writing down formulas, but that's not what we're here for. So I dismissed them. Al, and that made Al chuckle.
Yeah.
It was like, all right, I'm good now. I'm good.
I love Al, the Squatch father.
The Squatch father.
He's the best.
I joke around with him because I can. And I call him, he's done so many podcasts and shows. I call him the Pod Father now, but he is the Squatch Father.
The Pod Father.
The Pod Father. Like you move from Squatch Father to Pod Father. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want, I didn't want to come out telling too many people what I do. I said, oh, I like, it starts up, I always love sci-fi, and then it gets into some other stuff. And then I remember, I don't, like pull it out of people. People just tell you. And I remember going to my cousin's ex-husband's house for a party. We get invited. He'll always be my cousin, and he's in the airline industry. So at the party are pilots, stewardesses, air traffic, the whole thing. And I kind of got the listen, don't bring up the UFOs. And I'm like, how could I not? They're pilots here. They must have seen some crap. And I didn't even bring it. I wasn't the one to bring it up. But then someone said, that was pretty weird what we saw. And I said, by the way, what is the weirdest thing you saw? And then it just opened up and everybody like, tell them about that light, And I said, I didn't start it, as my defense. But yeah, you got your haters, but you have people that love you. I've always thought you were fantastic. So don't let the haters bother you. And
they don't.
People in here. No, I'm just saying in general, you're awesome at what you do. And you know what? Usually that's jealousy from people that are, and I'm going to say it, I'm not trying to take a shot at people, but they're not gifted enough to, do what they do. And like Nighthawk says, people always call special gifted people crazy. And I am the first one on the, there's the yellow school bus, the little bus. I'm on the shortened version of it. And I'm proud of it. I got a good seat too. I may be driving.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So you've been doing this for such a long while. How did you go? I mean, how did you go from this? Actually, we still have a question. We'll get to that in a second. I think there was another question, but related to, yeah, we did the remote viewing, and someone put a steel question. I'm sorry, I'm a one-man show. Okay, I'm not like Dave Scott or some other people that have two people. Going back, like Wayne and Michelle are great because someone takes care of the chat while the other one can concentrate on two things. So
It's a choreographed thing we got going on over here. It's not easy to do what we do, Brian.
no,
It's
it is
not.
not. It's
Not when you're
you know
doing it
what?
alone, like you and I do.
100%. It is not easy whatsoever.
So you're doing great.
And I'm trying the best I can, especially
Thank you,
after the
Jed.
last hour plus. It was not good tonight. But how did you go from all these crazy abilities or things that were happening around you into saying, hey, I want to become a remote viewer?
I didn't want to become a remote viewer.
Oh,
I didn't. I didn't go looking for it. I didn't even know what remote viewing was. Okay. And so I was just like everything else that I have ever done, that I'm even doing right now. I
right.
didn't go searching for it. It found me, every bit of it. And that's why I know I got to do it, because I didn't go looking for it at all.
How did it find you? It's not like you go into the
Yeah.
country store and there's Wayne from or Wayne and Michelle. Try harder, Brian. Yeah, I'm
You're
trying
doing
harder,
good,
buddy.
Brian.
I'm trying.
You're doing
How
great.
yeah. How did you try? I mean, like, I used to do things. I used to do some weird stuff. Like, I lived in New York City. I lived in the
Okay.
Bronx, and I would go to high school in New York City, Manhattan. So I'd have to take a bus ride in and out. So coming back, it was like 3 o'clock. It wasn't crowded. So I get to the back of the bus and I'd be bored. So what I started doing, and I just used to do this, I don't know how it happened. I would stare at somebody and go in my head, or sometimes under my breath, turn around. Come on, turn around, say hi. Just focus right on them. And 9 out of 10 times, you get someone that feels under, and they kind of turn to the back, and you go, hi, whatever.
You were
They don't
being
know.
weird, is what
I
you were
was
doing.
well, it was weird. I was seeing if you can do it, right?
Yeah, I'm kidding.
And
Yeah.
then every once in a blue moon, you get that one person that turns around and gives you that look like cut the crap out. Because
Like, I
they're
can
getting
feel
it. They're
you.
on the, yeah, it's just weird. I just wanted to see if it can be done,
Mhm. It can be done. And it is. I mean, it's wild, the remote influencing that when some remote viewers are able to do. It's pretty wild. And I've been training for a long time, and that's why I don't teach remote viewing actually to anybody. I've taught one person the first 3 stages of remote viewing of one particular mode. Because it's so intrusive. And I am no gatekeeper at all whatsoever. But see, I was heavily vetted before I was taught remote viewing by the person who taught me. And
Right.
so it can be very intrusive into people's lives. And when you learn to do things like remote influencing and things like that, I used to be given a lot of high priority targets. And see, my targets are all blind. The targets that I've been given, the way that I've been taught with coordinate remote viewing, is I'm given blind targets. Okay, I'm given a set of numbers. That's all I have. Occasionally, once I was doing it for a little while, I was able to get some front-loaded targets if I needed to, where I
Thank
knew a
God
little
for
bit
those,
about it.
right?
Yeah, and so I know how to do front-loaded targets just as fine as blind target. I prefer blind targets. Okay, that way you have no idea what you're remote viewing. And a lot of times, if I'd
Sure.
get like a high priority target, is what they're labeled, I drop everything and I go into RV mode, is what I call it. And go right into it, because usually that involves a missing person, a missing child, a cold case, working with like law enforcement or something like that, and they need it done immediately. And when you do things like that, you're able to remotely, I don't say remotely influence, but do deep mind probes. And if
Right.
I'm remote viewing and I'm seeing someone getting shot, stabbed, drowned, suffocated, something like that, I'm able to find, I see this person in the environment, I detect a human or a consciousness of some sort, and I ask them questions, and I'm able to find out who they are, where they went, where are they at, what happened to you, and I'm successfully usually able to get the data out of that, and make contact with that person. And so it's called a deep mind probe, though, things like that. So yeah, it's a little, it can be a little dangerous. Listen, if I had taught some people that I've met throughout my life remote viewing at the time that I thought they were good people, I would have been really upset later on, seeing that they didn't turn out to be good people, and then they would have used it probably against me and other people. So there's a code of
100%.
ethics.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was just telling, I was just talking about this, I think with Bigfoot Michigan Rob or Tex, or maybe on Tex, and I said it to a couple other people. We had a hot air balloon festival just one day, and we said,
nice.
we'll go out there, and then usually you have those vendors, and there was a tarot reader for $20. So I'm like, okay, but I vet people,
Mhm.
and I'm not going to call you out if you're not gifted. I'm going to tell you, nah, don't waste your money. I'll just say, don't waste your money or time, right? But this woman was beyond spot on, and I'm used to just sitting there. I don't give the information. I'm just nodding. I'm very not blah, but I don't react, because that's body cues, right? You could read, or what do they call those in poker? Tells, and I don't have tells. So, but I was explaining to people, I can do that. I could read everybody in this place if I want to, but your business is your business.
Exactly.
And the only way I do read somebody is if you come to me and say, can you please help me? Or I want to know this. And then I still say, do you give me your permission to go read your, and usually they say yes, because I don't want to know what you're doing. I really don't want to know what you're doing. But sometimes, like you said, you get the high priority targets. Things happen to me the last couple of years where it just comes in, the download comes in. Some event or person or place, I'm there, it triggers, and then boom, it starts playing out. Like there was one where we went out, I took my kids to get something to eat, and our waitress was great, and then this other waitress came out, and then boom, it all played out. It was late night, bar was closing, waitress was there, and the guy at the bar, heavy set Latino, with 5 o'clock shouted, come on, I'll take you home. And she's like, well, no, come on, and she went with him, and the next thing I saw was her dead. And I literally saw her like staring up, blew around it was just, and I'm like, as a dad, I'm like, I can't let this happen. What do? I gotta tell this person, so I actually went out and I called, who is up right now that I know friend wise, that I can tell this to, like, how do you deal with this? And I got to Cisco, Murdoch, Journey Through the Gate, Paranormal Portal podcast. And I go, she goes, I got you. Like, of course you do. And she said, told me, tell her you're a medium and you have a caution for her. I'm like, okay. But I worry because if something happens to her and I told her what's going to happen, I become a suspect. And all I was trying to do to help, but I told her, went up. And after that, I did not go back to that restaurant for months. And then somehow I ended up there. And when I was coming out, it was a different shift. The waitress goes, hey, excuse me. And I'm like, and I turn around, I'm like, yes. And I knew it was her. She goes, you're the one that told me to take the Uber. And I said, yeah, I did. She goes, thank you. I listened to you. I didn't take that trip. And the person that did, well, they got beat up. So I was there for a purpose, right? Yeah.
I know. I like it. I like how you actually, because I've noticed on Facebook too, like you'll put out some predictions sometimes. Yeah. And I can appreciate that because you want to warn people, sometimes I can tell you have a good heart. I know you can lead a horse to water, right, Brian? You can
No,
lead a horse to water.
I can't.
Can't make
I
him
got.
drink it.
I just put out another prediction about white smoke in the Vatican.
Oh, I
Well,
saw that.
yeah, that's very, very soon.
That means that they're going to have another pope, right?
Hmm.
I saw that, but I didn't. Yeah,
Oh, very soon.
that's wild. Yeah, we've got a lot of crazy changes occurring
Yeah,
around the world right now, don't we?
we do, and
Yeah.
yeah, I do put stuff out, and I'm sure people go, "Wow, this guy's batshit crazy," and I'm like, I'm not, because I have to breadcrumb people because I'm under such a magnifying glass or sensors or whatever, and I get crap from people, and I'm like, what started off as 2 days goes to 70 days now, 70 days in the hole, right? So that's a problem. So I said, if you research everything I say, you'll understand it. Just go up and research every drop I put. Because I can't get banned anymore, not because I love social media, but I'm using it to promote certain things. And if you get banned, no one knows who you are. So who's going to tune into whatever? Or no, it's just like I don't even get to see some of the stuff my kids are doing or whatever it is. So, but I've said a long time ago, don't fly. If you don't have to fly, do not fly.
God. Yeah, don't
And
fly.
there was just another one today in Arizona I posted. So, like, whatever,
Yeah.
do what you got to do. But someone did ask a good question here on this stuff. And it was Nellie Turner. Hey, Nellie. She said she's not familiar with remote viewing, but her question is it possible to remote view different timelines, parallel universes? I know the answer to this from me, but go ahead.
I suppose you can. I mean, I have definitely gotten some interesting targets before, and it just depends on whoever targets gives you that target, and whatever the target is, you can. I'm sure you can.
I've seen things most of the time when I'm tasking to do a remote view, whether it's for me or somebody else. It's on this timeline dimension, whatever. Very, 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 very rarely will I see something that's. And the way I see it is, it's really weird. It's kind of like if you took an apartment building with 7 stories in it and you cut it in half so you can see each story. I see it play out like that, and it's very rare that I get to see that.
Yeah.
You know,
my favorite targets, Brian, are. I mean, not. I like all the targets I've been given. Not all of them, because I'm looking for like missing people and stuff. So now, let's not count those.
Like
okay, let's not count those. Okay, but
No.
although it actually does feel. I'm trying to think of the word. It feels comforting. Okay, comforting,
Yeah,
knowing
right.
that you can bring some answers to some families. Okay, whenever they have like a missing person in their family, or there's a cold case and they don't know where their loved one is. And I have definitely located several bodies actually by doing this, and did deep mine probes and was able to help find some of these people. They were found later, but the way and the location where I said they were. Okay. So anyways, but there's some targets that are just absolutely really cool that I've done over the years that I've been given. I actually just did 2 targets tonight before the show. Today I had a show actually earlier this afternoon, and I have a show tomorrow night as well. And I have my remote viewing show is every Thursday night, and my buddy Barry's given me some really good targets. I don't even know what. See, here's the thing: I don't ever know what the targets are until sometimes I never find out what my targets are.
And just so this is Jess's website, and you can go to the YouTube videos right there at the Cryptid Huntress. So go check it out. It's actually scrolling across the bottom, and it's awesome. I mean, like she's amazing. She's good, entertaining, fun, informative. I mean, if you want somebody to watch, go watch her, and you're gonna love the subject matter, because it's really, really fantastic. So I wanted to promote your website and everything else. So I'm gonna stop sharing that for right now. No problem. We're gonna put you back into the big box. So
I get the big one.
But so when you do something where you're finding a missing persons case, you get a coordinate or a high target, important. So
I get a set of numbers.
Yeah,
that's
I know.
All I get.
Numbers or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you have? I don't want to use this term because it sounds so CIA-ish.
That's okay. Hey, the CIA utilizes remote viewers, so.
Yeah, they do. But do you have a handler?
A handler?
Well, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I wouldn't call it that.
someone's
sounds-
sending you,
That
someone's
does sound
sending you,
very CIA right
yeah,
there.
you know, someone sends you something.
I do have a
And,
tasker.
okay, you have yeah, well, right. So there is some of that
Oh,
that
man.
is now. Let me see if this is
Yeah.
correct. Does the tasker have information that it's a missing person, a child, blah blah blah, all like certain details, and then task you say writes it down, saying this is
Mhm.
case 4275, sends you Jess high target 4275.
Mhm.
So that
Yeah,
when you
well,
come
okay.
back, they already have, like, okay, she's on target, and then
Yes,
okay,
absolutely. Well, it depends. We've got double blind targets. We got single blind targets. We got all sorts of different types of targets. Okay.
double blinds are fun.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Well, a lot of times you do need someone there. A lot of times, like if you go in and do like my team, I have a team of remote viewers. Okay, a big team.
She
We've been
does.
training in this since 2011. Okay, it's been a long time. And when we would get together, quite often we would do practice targets and all this kind of stuff together, and we would team up, pair up, do these things as a team. Oh my gosh, thank you. So we would
Right.
but we would, one person would get, let's just say there's one main tasker, one person that's made up all these targets. It could be like they hand you an envelope, right? And
Yep.
it's got a picture of the Statue of Liberty in it. Okay. But see, I don't know, neither of us know that it's got the Statue of Liberty in it. That's okay. If you partner up with somebody, like I'm the remote viewer, I'm the one that's going to be remote viewing. So I get my paper and my pen, and I'm the one that's writing down all the coordinates and do the stages and everything on my papers, and I'm channeling the information. And I've got a person that's kind of guiding me. Okay. But they don't know what the target is either. That's a double blind right there. They just got the envelope handed to them. So they're trying to kind of help me out, not knowing what the target is either. But a lot of times I think the best way personally for me to do it is when I'm given a target from the tasker who knows what the target is. And because listen, here's the thing, to task somebody a remote viewing target, you have to know what the hell you're doing to get the good data out of it. And they have to be able to tell you like how to move around the target, and to go up 1,000 feet and look down and go to the right and the left. I mean, it's wild. It sounds easy, and I've kind of oversimplify it on my shows, but it's very complicated actually.
Well, here's the thing, right? So I get communication once in a while from Dick Alger from the Future Forecaster Group, and I said certain things and whatever. I've never been invited to that group, but whatever. I'll just pout right now. But
I'll
I've
invite you to my group
I
sometime. How about
appreciate.
that?
Thank you. I would
We'll
love
make our
to.
own group.
Yeah, we
Just
made
gonna make our own group.
Um,
That's what happens.
I've actually got, previous to seeing something that they've done, I've actually talked about something. I've gotten the information, it just comes. Sometimes it's given to me like, Brian, pay attention. This is coming for a reason.
Yeah.
Pay attention, which I do. I don't have someone tasking me or anything. And then it comes to fruition. So, and then I'll comment on certain things. But I've always said, because he talks about double blind, and there's like, so it's about the stock market, a specific stock, but I'm going to pick the mountains of Nepal and certain individuals, and then I'm going to put that in an envelope, and I'm going to task it with a different number to you're double blinding it, because you don't want to influence people in that, the process. The minute I contend that the minute someone says we have a missing child case, go get your group to do it, then that's already in the ether. That's there. It doesn't matter how many double, quadruple, whatever blind. If you're good at what you do, you're going to go, oh, this is a missing person case. Right? For the most part, or no, you don't find that.
Well, it depends. It depends. Okay. So like when I get my targets, okay, let me give you an example.
Sure.
Okay. So it's kind of morbid. I don't know.
Let's go for it.
Are we okay with it?
We're good. We talk about some crazy stuff here, so yes.
Okay. This is kind of morbid. Okay. So one of the first, this is the first high priority target I ever got. I'll never forget it. I was contacted, the red alert was sent out to the whole team. They're like, all right, here's your coordinates, high priority. And so I was like, oh man, this is, I was like, this is awesome. Look at my first high priority target. Yes. The pressure's on, right? The pressure's on. And so I get into my RV mode. I go into a quiet room, turn off all the electronics, get everybody away from me. And I go into RV mode, and I sit down and I start writing out my charts and everything. And I'm ready to go. I get the numbers, and I get going. I get into my session, and you don't automatically right off the bat see a person there. It turned out it was a missing person. And it was a person who had, let me just tell you what it was, because I didn't know, because I got a set of numbers. That's all I had. It was a man who had left his house one night. It was cold outside. He was wearing his pajama pants and a jacket, I believe. And he walked to, I think he told his family or whoever he was going to walk to the store. There was like a convenience store. And this was up near Lake Lanier, I think in Georgia, North Georgia.
Okay.
And he was planning, and this really happened. This was a few years ago, a bunch of years ago, actually. And he was going to walk to the store, and the last bit of evidence of him ever was him on a CCTV camera at a person's home or a convenience store where he's walking down the street. I think it was like past the store. So he didn't actually go to the store, right? But he went in that direction, but he didn't actually go there. Nobody really knew what happened to him. He was never seen again. Okay, well, I got my target. It was where's he at? That was the target. Okay, the location of this guy. And I got into my RV mode. Like I said, I just got a set of numbers, and I'm immediately hearing white noise. Okay, I'm hearing white noise. I'm hearing water. And I actually, I'm getting all the sensory data, and then part of my stage 3 data is I draw a picture, right? I draw a sketch, and I drew like a wall with like circles in it and stuff. And I'm still hearing this white noise, and I kept writing that down. I was like, white noise, and water. I've seen water, and I saw a picnic area, and I think I even wrote like marina or something. I wrote something. This is a blind target. This is my first one I ever did that was a high priority target.
Right.
And it was so wild because I've started realizing that my remote viewing skills go up exponentially when when it's on the line, and I know that there's something important that I have to do. These high priority targets, I hardly ever miss on these. I never have missed, actually. I don't think that I know of. See, like I said, I don't always know what the target is. I still don't know what some of my targets have been. Some that I've given to my tasker and I've never heard from them again. Okay. But with this one, I did find out what it was. And,
how do you deal with that when you you put some energy, effort into something, and then you don't hear anything back? Like, was I right? Was I wrong?
I let it go. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm just giving data. It's just data. So to me, it's just data. I don't get emotionally connected to it. Okay. And if I do, I shut it down at the end. That's why there's so much training involved in what I do, because you have to be able to cut yourself off emotionally from all this stuff. You have to shut it down when you're done.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I do enjoy, I guess, well, I do the remote viewing, and I would sit there. My new thing now is, I definitely do notes, and no one's giving me coordinates or a task unless someone says, "Hey," actually, I was on the Three Beards, and as a co-host at one point, and one of the guys came on and goes, "Hey, Brian, can you tell me what happened to my 2 pairs of sunglasses? That they went missing." So I said, "Sure, let me go look at it," and I looked, and I saw 2 different scenarios of what happened. I see the glasses going off out the window on a turn in someplace in Florida, because we have these big turns off the highway, and the window was open and went and slid off. I could see it by a lamppost, whatever. And then the other one, I said, well, yeah, you're going to find one. It looked like I have a blue cooler that opens up, the lids opens up, and there's kind of like this scalloping on the side. It's long. It looks like upholstery of a car. And I said, it's by this like go-kart or mower or something. It looks like a cooler, like that's what it looked like in your garage. And he's like, quickly, nah, I don't have any of that. I don't have a a cooler or whatever. I'm like, okay. And when you know it, 3-4 months go by. He goes, yeah, I found those sunglasses. I said, where was it? He says, oh, it was in the garage. It was behind this weird chair. And I said, was it blue and it had like scale? He goes, yeah. And I said, what about the other one? He goes, she just admitted that she lost them out the window in the car on a turn.
That's funny.
So
That's funny.
yeah.
But see, that would be like a practice target for me. And
Oh yeah,
yeah, I avoid those when people ask me to do stuff like that. It's like I'm looking for missing people. Usually, I have a hard time trying to help you locate a ring or something weird like that. It's like I'm sorry.
I
But,
agree with you. I mean,
yeah, and people are always trying to get you too, especially like if they know you're a remote viewer. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't have time to look for stuff like that.
I'm not a carnival act, and that's
I
what
know,
I tell
right?
people. I tell people I'm not a carnival act, and I, friend said, hey, I missed, this guy was missing a ring. It was his father's ring or whatever it is. And there was a history to it. There was a sentimental and important value, to this, and so I did it, and I knew there was more to it. See, when you remote view, you see X, Y, and Z. You can see. Can you see, smell, taste, touch as well? I mean, I just want to confirm because I do it.
You're asking me? Yeah,
Yes.
you have to. Yeah,
Okay.
the
No,
tactile. You gotta
Yeah.
smell, you taste. That's why it's important that you are in a room by yourself, preferably no noise, no electronics, even, and no candles. Okay, no incense, no nothing, no don't. If you just made like bacon and eggs in your house and it smells like
Yeah.
it's not a
Don't
good
do
time
that.
to remote view. Don't do that. You need to be in a place that does not have like smells, odors. Everything is just like sensory deprivation is the best.
Well, yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
because
yeah.
you're going to experience all of that, and so it's important to not be skewed with the surroundings.
100%. So when
Yeah.
I do readings for people, I could do it on the fly. It gets better when it used to be like it's better if I'm tired because I can connect quicker and I'm not as all over. Now I just can sit there and I'll just focus. If I'm going to do a reading for somebody, I'll start to meditate a little bit on it. Probably no less than a half an hour prior. But I cannot be in my house around anybody I know. So I literally get in my car and I drive to the gas station that's nearby. And I sit there and I turn on the do not disturb and I will sit there in the car and I can do it. Because you can't be around people, you can't be like, just one question, just one time, it was like,
Yeah.
no, I hear what you're saying. And then you can't smoke, you can't have an ashtray, but you ever hear of Focus 10? I forgot the name of the tapes.
Gateway.
The Gateway tapes.
Of course, that is required. That's a requirement. We had to do all of that with the Monroe Gateway process, the Gateway process. Okay.
Yes.
That is something that I know it very well. It goes way past 10, by the way.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I know it goes way past 10.
It goes way past 10.
Yes.
Ask me how I know.
And well, you've done it. So I've been doing it. I have them. I have it, and I was going through and I remember I would do it at a certain point outside of my backyard because no one was around. Like roughly around when the other half was going to pick up the kids from school, giving me a good hour. And you'd be there and you're trying to get your, focus 10 and whatever. And you're in this zone. And the next thing you know, and I have the headphones on, it's loud. And then next thing you know, you smell, something from Bed Bath and Body Works or whatever the hell the place is. And you're like, oh, my kids are home. And then it goes away quickly.
Yeah. Yes. You are more than this physical body.
Yes. 100%. So
if you know the Gateway program, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I totally know. And I say, you can get the program, the bunch
you
of
get on
that
Spotify.
stuff. You can get it on Spotify. You can
Mhm.
also get it on this YouTube thing that they have. You ever hear of YouTube?
I've
But
heard of YouTube.
yeah, you ever
I'm
hear?
on it. I'm on it. I'm on it occasionally.
So I do a quick like little demo of remote viewing for people that have never done it. And what I say, you're going to need a piece of paper, a pencil, or a couple pieces of paper, a pencil, or a pen. And what I do is I actually go pick targets, and then I put them in envelopes, and I keep the envelopes, and I just label them 1, 2, 3, ABC, whatever it is, and then I have them set up so that I can reveal it to everybody in the audience. I like when people start, can interact on a podcast. Maybe we'll do that one time, like how to just start to activate yourself. And I was on Michelle and Wayne's Michigan UFO sightings and paranormal encounters show podcast, and we did it. And I picked this Bavarian castle over the Rhine, and Michelle, said she was spot on. And this is her comment right there. What thought was
Oh, cool.
intuition. Yeah, she'll never get over the castle scenario. So she said that she said what she said about the castle, which was pretty much spot on in the water, and she said she saw like people or going over the site or something like that. So I said maybe some
Wow.
people have slept off, whatever. So
Yeah.
literally the next day I get a message from her, Wayne. They found a serial killer, I believe it was, who was throwing bodies off the very castle I picked.
Oh God.
And Michelle got it spot on.
Oh
So
my
how
gosh.
good is that?
That is so good. I mean, Michelle, you are switched on psychically. I love
She
that.
totally is. I mean,
Yeah.
she's really, there's no money in this. Just so you know, there is absolutely no money in it. Doesn't
Man,
matter
I
if you
tell
do a
you.
TV show or something like that. But
Yeah.
so that was cool. So what I do, and then I say, okay, it's kind of hard to do because you can't have dead air on a podcast for more than like a minute. So I kind of guide them through a meditation, a quick one, like, okay, and we go through it. Now, what I found is Michelle was spot on about it. She was really connected to what was going on there. A lot of other people have been connected to it too, but I've had people that when I've done this, they've picked out elements of ones we haven't done yet. That's the cool part.
They get cross-referenced, basically.
Yes.
That happens to me, and it actually happened last week. That is wild that you brought that up because it does happen. It's the intention behind it. It's so weird, right? And I'm given, one of my buddies, Barry, is one of my main taskers now, other than the head of my team, right? And he gives me great targets. But he gave me one, and it turned out to be some cryptid or something. And we weren't even sure. He was not sure if it was even legit kind of stuff.
Right.
And so the data was all weird and wonky. I was like, I don't know. Once he told me what it was, I was like, I don't even think this is real. I got this weird data. It doesn't make any sense. And that doesn't happen often unless it's a target that you don't know for positive it's even real like that.
Yeah.
So, but the data that I had was the exact what he thought the data would be for another target that he had lined up to give me next. And it was off planet and everything. And it was the basically that was the target that I had remote viewed. And so it almost, that's why it's so important to like really, and that's why like Barry's not super like trained as long as I have in remote viewing to like know how to task me that perfectly like that. But he does a great job, and I still get good data out of those targets, right? But sometimes it's more easy to get them cross reference sometimes, and so that's where it remote viewing is not fine. It's not like finite stuff. Okay, you're not really getting all the answers to anything. You're just getting you're getting data that could help you figure things out. Okay, you're not solving every crime with remote viewing. You're just not.
And a lot of times I find that you're seeing something and you're like, this doesn't make sense.
It never makes sense.
I got in trouble. I was on whatever show, Texas show, and I do a tasking for myself 0 to 18 months, August 4th. This year I didn't do it. Really bad year. But I saw the same thing. I saw the Canadian people fighting it starting in Winnipeg and it moving over up until Ontario. And they're kind of like taking their country back. And I saw Americans on the border helping their brother and sisters up there to do it.
Okay.
And I'm like, it seems like they're going to stop all this, whatever. Trudeau's running for his life. He was, scared.
Oh, God.
That's what I saw.
Okay.
And I didn't think of it anything as, people taking back their lives, and whatever. And I mentioned it and someone got a little bit offended by it on the show. Well, I was a little bit offended. You'd think that the Canadians, just are, or we're stirring the pot and we want to cause this. I'm like, I'm not saying you're going to become Americans and X, Y, and Z is happening. I'm just showing, this is what I saw. That's it.
Yeah.
I have no skin in the game, people.
Don't shoot the messenger, please.
Yeah. Well, and I understand if you're getting upset because you're too emotionally charged in something that you can't be. And
right.
I just get, but I get cross-reference of things and I write it down. Now I do notes. I do boom, boom, boom. And then do you ever reset yourself? Do you ever say, oh, no, I got to reset. I got to come out and then go back in and approach it differently because things start, pile on. You're like, okay, what the hell is this,
Well, okay. So in the type of remote viewing that I do, I will shut a session down if it's just, and see, and here's the thing. That's why, what's up, Sovereign? Okay.
Hey.
So when sometimes I will shut a session down I will say prematurely. Yes. If things are just not making sense to me at all, but see, it's not up to me to make sense of these things. I'm channeling data. But if it's just really out of whack, like I think I remote viewed, maybe I went through like 2 pages in my sessions. I only went through stage 4 of like 1 page of it, which is, I mean, it's a good bit of data, but it's not a ton. It's not like what I would normally do for one of the targets that I got. Okay. And, and I remember the data was like all over the board. It was some sort of it was a chupacabra. Okay, and it's a chupacabra out of 1994. There was a hurricane, Puerto Rico, and this has been remote viewed by another remote viewing group. John Vavinko and his team had remote viewed this, and so Barry, knowing John, decided he was like, well, I'm just going to give this same target to Jessica and see if she gets the same data.
Right.
And so he gave me a blind target. He gave me some coordinates, and I got almost the exact same data as John Vavinko and his team by myself. And it was, and I literally shut this target down early, but let me tell you why, Brian. I was picking up on something. First of all, I did pick up on a hurricane. I wrote Noah's Ark. I was like flood, Noah's Ark. There was a flood. I was picking up on a lab. I picked up on a mammal and a reptile. So whatever I was remote viewing was not only a mammal, I thought it was maybe kangaroo or a marsupial or something, but also had dinosaur DNA, and it was a reptile. And I was like, good God, this is like one target. This doesn't make any sense. I was like, what the freak is this? And so I just could not make sense of whatever this thing, whatever I was remote viewing, and it was confusing. So I shut it down. And I sent in my data. The next thing I know, it's just like, oh my God. Like Barry wrote me and he was like, oh my God. He was like, this is wild. I can't believe you got this. And it turned out like I should have just kept going with it. But it was so outrageous. I was like, I just looked at it and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I was like, this is so off. Like I'm so off target. I don't know what this is, but I'm done. I'm done with this.
Yeah,
it turned out I was on target.
You were spot on target, but it discourages you because it's not making sense to you. Then your logic comes in and you kind of like put the kibosh on whatever the gift is or the ability. Yeah. And then you can't get back into it.
You start thinking. You're not supposed to think when you're remote viewing. No. You don't think. You don't, because it's like your monkey mind comes on, switches on, and you're just like, it's not right, and your ego. It's like you don't let your ego get involved and all this stuff. But I was just frustrated because I was like, this data is just all over the place. I don't want to waste my time on this.
Right? Is it gobbledygook or whatever?
Yeah.
I've found that if someone gives me a task, like when people had problems, like my friend Al's wife was having night terrors, or no, he asked me about a property, and he goes, "I'm going to give you a number and a street." I'm like, "Go remote view the property." So I remote viewed the property, and I got to like what's going on in the property. I said, "Take me to this property, show me whatever problems there exist." That's it. I'm just go, if there are any. And I go and I'm at this. I arrive at this one spot. I can see the side door, and I'm like, and I go and I'm like, no. Let me back out. I back out and I said, take me to where the problem is, and I go right by the kitchen in the front. And I later on find out that whenever I'm tasked or I do something, I don't have to play games about walking through the mall to find J.C. Penney's. They take me to J.C. Penney. And it's kind of comforting. It took me a while to know that, no, I'm here. Okay. It's a learning process,
Yeah.
but sometimes you get so much like weird stuff that I have to literally back away from it, jump out and say, no, let me reset. Do you ever ask, when you're in the process, do you ever ask questions out loud? No, I need more data. I need more information. And then
Yeah.
you start to get it, right? Okay.
Well, there's different things that I can do as far as doing the coordinate remote viewing, because I'm writing it all down. Okay, so I'm writing out charts. I'm writing down all my sensory data, my analytic overlay, and my deep mind probes, and all that kind of stuff. And so there are different methods of like writing things down and in the information flowing again. Okay, and it's doing more ideograms and stuff like that. So that's a different way, but there's different modes of remote viewing. And the type that you're talking about, like you sitting there and like kind of doing like astral travel kind of stuff, right? Like hypnotic remote viewing is kind of how I would describe that. And I'm trained in that as well, as far as, the military style, I guess you could say. And so there's it's a method as well, right? And you do. In that case, I would reset. I would try to come out of the session. But, you did mention the whole gateway process and getting into theta and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of times, like once you get deep into theta and you're doing the astral traveling and things like that, if you're doing that type of remote viewing, that's kind of what you're talking about. And there's not a whole lot of just like shutting it down. I mean, that's a process too. Okay.
It's not easy to shut down or get out of that. You can't do it quickly. You cannot get out of that quickly. You have to go through a certain thing. And
yes.
Otherwise, you kind of like, you may wake up being still in the same spot. I mean, when I started doing it towards the tail end of the first series of tasks of the gateway, I'm literally in this zone, and I literally there is this ET, tall gray, just defined structure of the, and he's just looking at me, and he's like he goes from the side, and he goes right in front of my face, kind of like, how did you get here type of thing. And I kind of felt that was, and I just said gateway, whatever.
Blame it on the gateway.
It was the gateway.
Blame it on Monroe, on Robert Monroe. It's all their fault.
I thought about going up to the Monroe Institute and actually doing their remote viewing 1 and 2 course.
Highly recommend. It's expensive. I have not done it, but there's other resources as well, like the Silva Mind Control. You can go there. We actually had an instructor that came out to us to train us from Silva, which was amazing. And
I'd love to know. So Silva Mind Control.
Look them up. Yeah, there's online courses you can take. The best way to learn remote viewing would be in person with someone who can train you.
Truly,
that's the best way to do it. Yeah.
100%. So since we're in the weird and strange stuff,
we're always in the weird and strange stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if I asked this before, but what is the weirdest, strangest thing Jessica has been through?
Everyday life. I don't know. Something's weird. Yeah, it's like every day. I woke up today.
Every day, every question, every moment. Life
every day. William, now listen, I have consulted with William before I'd done investigations into like I'll just say Skinwalker caves. I don't say that word very often, but
Right.
going and hunting S walkers and stuff. Okay, and that's what I do. I go on Dogman investigations. I mean, we hike out 5-6 miles into the forest and sleep in hammocks out there, and it's wild, and it's right in the middle of like Dogman country and stuff, right there. And yes, it's stupid and it's fun, and I love it. And I
It
wouldn't have it
can
any other
be
way.
dangerous. It can
It's
be
like,
dangerous,
well,
but
we usually have somebody that stays awake and watches camp while we sleep. We take turns.
yeah, well, that's
We're
always
we're
good.
well prepared if
Well,
something were to
I mean,
happen.
I I did a we did a Bigfoot investigation, and I was on the western portion of Florida, and we went out miles and miles, and it was hot and muggy and
Oh
like
God,
99%
yeah.
humidity. It was
That's how it was on our last Dogman investigation out in
yeah.
Alabama. Yeah, that was wild. Oh, and by the way, okay, so I guess I think you may have one of my old bios. I'm actually on another research team now too, and
Oh,
we go
okay.
out. It's called Cryptid Warfare. Where actually it's cryptid. Um, let's see, operations and survival. That's what we call it. But it's my buddies out of Tennessee, and we go out. We do boots on the. I do a lot of boots on the ground field work, but I go out with them. That's the most exciting team right now. We do a lot of real dangerous boots on the ground stuff, and
It it
it's
gets you
awesome.
Jones, and no pun intended. Get you Jones in on that because that's a good question. Are dogmen another kind of skinwalker?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there are werewolves that could be, anything that changes. Hey, Marty, what's up, Marty? I met Marty at what was it, the UFO conference that I spoke at a couple of weeks ago. What's up,
Oh,
Marty? Thank you for
cool.
being here. Yeah, up in North Georgia, we had the UFO conference up there, up in Blue Ridge, Georgia, a couple
Oh,
of weeks
nice.
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm actually speaking of. I'm going to be at the Crossing Realms conference in September. It's in Missouri on the
Missouri.
19th. Yeah, Missouri. It is the 18th and the 19th and 20th at the Eagleton Civic Center, and tickets are on available right now on Eventbrite. So
Very cool.
I will be talking. My presentation will be Dogman. Um, Although I like to kind of bring things together because I think there is almost a universal thread.
It's all
And
connected.
yeah, well,
Yes.
yeah, but most people, you can't be a ghost hunter and then also do UFOs, and you can't do UFOs if
Bull.
you do crypt. Yeah, I
Yes, you
know that.
can. See,
I
that's the thing. I came out guns blazing when I went public. I mean, I waited 10 years I never meant to go public with my research and stuff. But when I did, I was like, well, I'm a Bigfoot researcher. I'm a remote viewer. Now I go hunt dogmen and I do all sorts of other stuff too. And it's all connected. And yes, it could be interdimensional. We've experienced portals. We've got all sorts of weird stuff and evidence from my teams. So what? Like it or leave it. It's okay. I don't care. This is my experience and I'm sticking to it.
oh,
Okay.
I really, and she says hi, Jess, back, so
Hey,
that's good.
Marty.
Um, Dogman is something I never wanted to believe, but um, I had to.
No.
Had my
Yeah.
own personal experiences, but I got contacted from someone government wise or whatever, and out of the blue, I don't know how they got my number, but if they're the government, they get your number. And this person actually goes and protects bases. And when these things come up, he said, "I this is what I do, and they are real. They're nasty, and we have a whole team that kind of like the X-Files team of the military, but no one talks about it. It's so I'm like, okay. And then I had my encounter, and I'm like, come on, I wanted this not to be real.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Isn't it weird when you see something that's not supposed to exist right there in front of you? It's weird. It's
it
weird. I
is.
love it.
You know what? I've done, I call them active intelligent encounters before they came out with the CE5,
Oh
close
God.
encounter of the 50, yeah, whatever,
Yeah,
Mr.
we've done that.
Barnum stuff.
Yeah.
It does work. It works very well. I'm good at it. I brought in a craft to 130 plus people, including the chief of police. He will still not talk to me.
Oh my
um,
gosh.
yeah, and everybody was like, "Oh my god!" And it was above our heads, no more than 15 stories, 150 feet, something like that. And then we said, can you go out to the mountains and do some maneuvers? It did it. And then it came back, disappeared, and we asked to come back. It did it. Even as a research investigator who have seen some stuff that is just the craziest thing in the world, we still go, oh my God, did that just happen? UFOs are another interest. Yeah. So yeah, it's just
Yeah.
no problem.
It's still shocking. Sorry, I had the mute button. My son's over here coughing, so I keep.
No, I hear him. It's fine. You know what?
Okay, I keep hitting the mute button.
No. Please. You don't have to do that. What I love about how we do these things now is, yes, you want to put on a professional show. We're trying to put on a professional show, but guess what, folks?
On my behalf.
People are parents, and people have a life, and we don't have our own studio, and 99.9% of us aren't getting paid to do this and don't have sponsors.
Right.
So deal with coughing and some other noises, because I've had a
My
couple
dog.
of other noises. Yeah. It's
my dog's
fine.
panting and snoring. She's if she's not panting, she's snoring. So.
Yeah. Well, it's not that bad, but I have another Nelly. I don't think we asked this question, but I want to ask it because we're in that remote viewing. Have you ever been remote viewing and a person noticed you, but clearly they cannot see you or only sense your presence?
They cannot see you, only sense your presence. Well, I'm not exactly sure what they're experiencing, and the ones that I have experienced are deceased. Okay, but they are communicating with me. Okay, so there is a mediumship aspect to this as well, and yes, I do have mediumship abilities as well, and I think that makes an even better remote viewer actually. When you're able to do stuff like that, and I've actually had a fella that I was remote viewing, and he was missing as well, and the police. I was contacted by Nancy Grace. Nancy Grace. Right.
Yeah.
She had a podcast called Crime Stories, I believe, and I was contacted by her podcast to do a remote viewing target of this case. It was actually a cold. I just knew it was a cold case, and and I made contact. I did a deep mind probe with what I didn't know the story behind it at all. Turns out it was a gentleman out of here in Georgia, and he had he got missing, and I just saw some guy who. He saw me and I saw him, and all I could see were white eyes and covered in mud. His face was covered in mud, and all I saw were white eyes. He kept looking at me, and it was like telepathically. He was like, I asked him, I said, where are you? What is going on here? He was like, I'm locked. He kept telling me he was locked up, and but he was clearly covered in mud. I'd clearly, before I made contact with him, I saw a scene go down where like two guys had gotten in a fight, and they were teammates. I kept saying teammates, and so I was, it was clearly that somebody died. Okay. And this guy was somewhere, but I knew he was buried because I could see by his eye. So he was aware of me. Okay. To some degree, because he answered me. And I was able to say, something, whatever happened to this guy, he's probably dead. He's in the ground somewhere, and he's buried somewhere. And he said he's stuck. Told me he was locked up. And of course, Nancy Grace's team was like, there's no way that happened. It wasn't his teammate. The guy he was with that night, that's his friend. He's already checked out. I was like, well, I'm just telling you, it was his teammate. It was whoever he was with, did something to him. It was probably an accident, but he did it. And then guess what, Brian? Find out.
Teammate did it.
Teammate did it and buried him underneath his house and poured concrete over it. And he went on the run, and I had that in my data too. And he sold his house, and the new tenants moved in, new homeowners, and they went to go redo the back porch, and they were cutting up concrete. They couldn't figure out why there was concrete underneath the porch. This happened in Georgia, by the way. And when they pulled the concrete up, his body was there.
Yeah.
And he was locked up underneath all that concrete. And guess what? Jessica was right. And I never even got a call about that or anything. They poo-pooed it. It was wild.
You said Nancy Grace. She was the one that used to do, like, I think, Inside Edition or something like that.
I think so. Yeah.
I heard the theme music.
Yeah.
And she always did these. This was before all these murder mystery shows that are on that apparently my friend Al, he watches all the time. Like when I had my heart attack 2 years ago, which was on my bingo card, frankly, but I was like 10 years off. I told him, and I said, yeah, I'm feeling better. He goes, you know what? Check to see if does your wife have Visine in the house? Because if you put enough of that in, it can make it the symptoms of a heart attack. I'm like, she didn't try to kill me, Al.
Oh God.
It's like, stop
Oh, no.
watching these murder shows.
Oh my God,
whatever.
he's just looking out.
No,
Visine
that
can also make someone have diarrhea too, I think.
yeah, it's a solid
careful.
thing, and thank you very much for the friendship. But no, I can tell you, no, that was my stupidity and my body and whatever. But yeah,
Oh my God.
going back to the question where she said, have you remote viewed something? And I've gotten caught several times. I don't do as risky as stuff. Just remote view certain places that are automatically, I call it under watch and under guard, and sometimes they will somehow let you know you need to go, and they'll do it nice.
I've gotten that before, and I dip out quick. I dip out real quick. See, that's why you have to trust who gives you the targets. I would never take a target from someone that I don't trust. Okay. And if I do take one like that, would be a front loaded one from somebody I don't know that great.
Right.
And I would take that, and it would just be like a front loaded type of a target that I would do. And so, because I don't trust anybody these days anymore. So especially when it comes to me, we're putting our lives on the line for some of these. Okay. I'm just saying, when it comes to some of these targets, it's very dangerous.
Well, I just did my own tasking for something the beginning of December, and I sent information. I used to get people asking me, or assessments that work with the government. I know some people in the government, whatever. I don't have security clearance, so I'm not going to get everything. So they know. And so I'll give my assessment of a situation. And that's partially remote viewing, partially intuitive. So there is some abilities there. And there was something going on with the drones in New Jersey. Weren't really as freaky for me because I know where the military bases are in New Jersey, and I know the military is using 99% of that. I did know there was nuclear material missing in New Jersey, and some other things that would aid in why drones would be under surveillance, whatever. So I started looking into it, and I gave them a list of places in New York City. I said, you got to go to the basement, because I knew stuff was in the basement, and they're going to appear closed, but they're not. Go there. And I worried about the Hoover Dam and some stuff from Minnesota.
Yeah,
I said,
that's
something's going on there.
There's something going on in the future with the Hoover Dam. It's on our money when you do that feng shui, or what do you call it? What do you call it when you do the paper folding?
The origami,
not feng shui.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, 100%, because I saw it. I'm like, they're there, and in the New York Harbor and whatever. And I said, listen, I don't have it. You don't have to take my information here. But under 48 hours from when I sent it, they did arrest a couple of people in certain locations that I may or may not have mentioned. So, and it's fine as long as I'm not doing this for this. This was a bad situation. I want them caught, and I want to help out as much as possible. I've gotten caught. Like I said, I've stepped into a room trying to help our psychic. Her grandbaby saw me like, who are you? I'm like, I'm Brian. I'm here to help your Nana.
Her grandchild saw you, like remote viewing, basically, or astral traveling, or
I physically went to their house. I've never been to it. And when I came in, I stepped into like where her bed crib would be. And I'm like, oh no. And she kind of was like looking at me like, all right, who the hell are you?
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, hi, I'm Brian. I'm here to help your Nana. And I said to her, this is what I do. I do this to everybody. If I go to someone's house to help them or whatever, I'll whisper in their ear, or I'll say things over and over again. It's a test for me.
Yeah.
So I said, can you tell your Nana Brian was here? And she's like, kind of like nodding. And I said, okay. And I went and I did what I got to do. And my psychic, or the psychic for a group, is super spot on. And I told her about her issue. And she goes, how'd you know that? And I said, you asked, I said, can I come in and help you? You said yes. And that's what I saw. So, and she goes, she called me the next day. He goes, you were here, right? I said, yeah, why? He goes, my grandbaby told me.
Oh my
So,
gosh, that's so spot on. I
yeah.
love that.
So,
I mean, we've actually encountered spies coming into our remote viewing classes.
oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. I call them spies because they were not welcome there. We didn't invite them in, but like I've seen grown men showing up in the place where we were doing our training and stuff. And it's almost like a hologram. It's weird. I've seen all sorts of different types of people trying to drop in and spy and things like that. And actually, I think that I saw myself remote viewing myself one night.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know what it was. That was back when I was first learning remote viewing, and I was living in Atlanta at the time and had an apartment, living by myself before I had my kid and everything.
Right.
And then I woke up one night seeing all these sparkly lights in the corner of my bedroom. I was like, what the hell is that? And I thought maybe it was just like a ghost or something. But later on, I realized that like I wanted to go back and remote view what those lights were. And then I realized, wait, back then that was me remote viewing that.
So you are literally
so
the cause
weird,
of the
right?
lights.
Does
Yeah,
that
no,
make sense?
100%.
Yeah.
And it's like a funhouse mirror. It just keeps going and going and going and going.
Time is but an illusion here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's all happening all at the same time. And I don't know if I've told you this before, but I had so my team goes out to this place we call the Meadow to do a lot of our research. And I was hiking in there one night, one of the last times. Both of those gentlemen, I mentioned the portal incident, right? And both of those gentlemen that went into the portal were sent over there to check it out. They've both passed away now, both of them. And they both got very sick after that happened, got bad health conditions.
That's what I wanted to go to when you mentioned it. But keep going. I'm sorry.
Okay. So before the last trip that Tim was one of those guys. And the last trip to the woods that he went with us before he passed away suddenly, by the way, he was having some breathing problems and stuff. And so I volunteered to go with them early to the med. We had to hike in. It's a pretty long hike. And so he and I and his daughter was with him, and I hiked in with them before the group came out or like later in that night. And as we're hiking in, we were going over this like little area, and there's a water source over here and all this. I hear it's starting dark, by the way. And I hear a woman's voice across the way, like somewhere that you're not going. First of all, a single woman is not going to be by herself. Also, it's not possible to get over there. And at nighttime, It's completely impossible to get over there. Snakes and all sorts of stuff are over in this area. I mean, this is the middle of nowhere. And so we're hiking in, and I hear a woman's voice go, "Time travel," really loud. And it's from across the water. And I stopped and I was like, whoa, did y'all just hear that? And it was so loud. I was like, there's no way they didn't just hear that. But they were like, hear what? And I was like, whoa, okay. And of course I'm thinking, well, and Tim was highly trained in remote viewing too. He'd been training as much as I had in it.
Right.
And so he was very psychically switched on as well. But he said he didn't hear it. And I thought, well, that's just kind of weird. And so I was like, well, let's keep going, y'all. Keep going. We're at the Meadow. So no, this is just weird stuff. Okay. And the fact that she said time travel, I just couldn't get it out of my head. I was like, what in the world was that? And it wasn't until like 2 or 3 weeks later, maybe longer. It was a couple weeks later.
Right.
I realized, Brian, that was my voice. It was me. And it was so jarring. I did not understand that was my voice.
Well, it would be jarring for you.
It was confusing.
But now that you know, it's kind of like you were messing with your own self. Like, I'm going to mess with myself right now. Time travel.
Time travel.
Yeah.
I mean, it was exactly like that. And I kept saying it, and I kept replaying it over and over again in my head, over and over again. And I was like, time travel. And then I was like, I'm saying it just like she's saying it. I was like, oh my God, that was me. And because you're not ever prepared to hear your own voice
No, you're not.
outside of yourself. Okay, you're
Yeah,
just not.
I've heard my voice, and most people are like, oh my god, I sound terrible or whatever it is. Some people are like, oh, you have a great voice. It's subjective,
Oh yeah,
but you're not expecting to be in the woods. Actually, if I'm in the woods and I hear my voice or a mimic, I'm thinking something else, and I'm thinking that I'm trying to draw you in more so than anything else. But that's like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Like, come on, Socrates. Um, I don't, we're almost done. So tell the puppy we're going to be good.
oh, it's okay. I hit the mute button. She's over there hitting her water. I told my son to give her some. She needs some water.
Just give her some water.
Give her
some
water.
money for the cough and give her some water. No.
Right.
So, yeah, no, I was going to ask about the portal because you got to have a big set of ovaries or cojones to step into a portal that just appears.
They didn't know they were stepping in it. They didn't know what they were doing. They were guided over to it to check it out, and they disappeared into it.
Okay. So it wasn't.
Yeah.
I've opened a portal in a stone chamber in upstate New York, and while it was open, you could see it on the FLIR, but you can feel the coolness, and you can see it like like smoke going around, and like, oh, something's happening. And it's on YouTube right now under Broxville Paranormal Society. And I go, look. And for a split second, I saw something do the peek in and then come back to you. Like, someone just peeked in. And then that was it. And I said, there is no way in hell. I studied physics. There is no way in hell I would put my body or any body parts into that portal. But next time I will put a drone through it or, handheld camera. I don't know. That's what I would recommend.
Oh, well, okay. So my team had to come up with a protocol right after that happened because, of course, we're going to have to come up with a protocol. And I got to tell you, Brian, the conversation went like this. All right, who has the best life insurance? Who has the best health insurance? And who's going to tie the rope around their waist and who's pulling? Yeah, it was wild. It was really wild. I mean,
that's the drones come in handy. They're so small now. You could just send something in there for a little bit, and then because, like, unfortunately, those two people got sick, right? And was it portal related or not? It very well could have been.
We think it might have been. Even well, Tim wasn't sure. He died unexpectedly, and Bob actually ended up with a aggressive form of cancer, and it was really bad. But it had some of us, most of us, I think pretty much the whole team, we've had to have some serious conversations about whether we're even going to continue to do research at these areas, research period, because this is detrimental to our health. Do you know what I mean? And at any moment, I mean, how many missing people do we have at all these national parks and stuff too?
Yeah.
And are we solving, like, where are we helping to solve maybe where some of these missing people are going? Are they just walking into these portals? Because both of them, their heat signatures disappeared as they walked up to this thing, and the environment changed. The temperature changed, the vegetation changed on the ground, stars disappeared. And then they knew there was something off. There was an energy shift, and they're both trained in remote viewing, just like me.
So someone asked radioactive maybe.
Mm-hmm.
There is
radiation.
I think David Weatherly was talking about there is sometimes a radioactive signature when things you get to a portal. And then the problem with the portal is, where are you going and how far back or how far forward? Because
I'm not going to find out. I did not volunteer. I've got a young kid, so I am not volunteering to tie a rope around my waist. I don't give a crap.
I don't need that information.
I'll pull the rope.
Definitely. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't really need the information, but that's why I'm suggesting drones are a good source to send something in there, because you could literally be opening up a portal to a different dimension or timeline, and they may not have had half the diseases or viruses that we have now that we're immune to. So now you're going into something, and now you're getting something like it's going to make you sick. Okay. It's just like going back and getting the pox way back when. they don't have immune for that. They had the
Yeah.
pox or whatever the virus is. It died. It went into the frost. It was done, and anybody that survived actually gave the immunity. So it gets really, really in a crazy way. I wouldn't do it, but I'm with you.
Yeah.
Makes sense,
Well,
Brian.
think
Thank you.
about like all these projects that our government works on too. We've had all these whistleblowers like Andrew Basiago that came out and said, and people that I've had on my shows have been part of the, have been victims of the Montauk Project and Project Phoenix and the Project Pegasus, for instance. I know that the remote viewing stuff is like Project Jedi and Stargate and stuff, and I know,
Yeah.
that's something that I'm able to do. I've learned the same methods that they learned. Okay, let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
But Project Pegasus, think about that. Somebody had asked earlier about timelines and remote viewing timelines. Well, they've got this looking glass technology. There's even Project Looking Glass. Okay, these
Yes,
are
there
real
is.
programs that our government uses that they have been enacting for decades. And they are able to look into other timelines. And according to Andrew Basiago, he was sent back through the Montauk chair, I believe. I don't know if he was at Montauk. I think he was at Montauk, which I went there last year, by the way, with survivors of the Montauk Project.
Really?
And I did. I spent a whole week there. Yeah, we went to Camp Hero. We stayed in a big house with about 20 something people. And we were there for the 20th anniversary of the biorhythm portal that was supposed to be opening up off the beach of Camp Hero in Montauk, where the USS Eldridge was said to come through every 20 years. And we were there. We had a boat out there with people on it. We had people stationed all over the island, all over the place on Long Island, up there at the top of Montauk. It was great. I've had a really interesting past few years.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Someone
it was
doesn't
awesome.
want the Montauk stuff, but yeah, no, you have the experiments they did, what was known as the Philadelphia experiment. And in the process, the rumors of sailors being embedded within the actual material,
Yes.
it's not a rumor. It is, people swear by it. And you don't know what you're playing around with. It's kind of like if you've ever watched Star Trek, and if you have you're beaming up and you don't put it back together again.
Yep.
You're in trouble, kind of like in Galaxy Quest when they beam up whatever, and it's like, oh my God, and it blows up. So
yeah,
but
I was actually tasked with remote viewing that. That's part of the reason that they had me. They took me up there. They sponsored my trip up there. Okay, and by sponsoring, I mean we had a gentleman, Bob Esses. Actually, he owns a satellite company. He
Yes.
works with NASA. And he was with us. I was with him and his team, his friends. It was amazing. We had a really amazing time. But I was tasked with doing some remote viewing for them, and that included the USS Eldridge, where it was going to show up, and all this other stuff. And I told them, actually, Brian, I was telling them, I was seeing square waves in the ocean and stuff. And I was like, watch for this, because we had a team out in the boat.
Right.
I was able to give a whole lot of different information about what was potentially going to happen that day. And it was so weird when we got up that morning. We had been there for almost a week, and the skies were perfectly sunny and clear. And that morning when the portal was supposed to open, it was the time for it to open. You couldn't see a foot in front of your face the entire day until the middle of the evening. Basically, it was foggy. It was unnatural fog, and even we were seeing, the people out in the boat were actually seeing blue and green lightning in the ocean, but they could not see where the blue and white lightning was coming from. So we think that it probably did happen. However, we couldn't see it. It was covered. They had it so well covered with all that artificial fog out there. We couldn't see anything. It kind of sucked, but it was also really cool.
There's a whole story about blue fog and strangeness with a guy going from Bahamas into Fort Lauderdale or Miami Airport and doing it in like 15 minutes, which is not possible. But I don't want to keep you longer. It's 10 o'clock. I can't thank you enough, Jessica, for coming on the show and being here. I definitely would love to take you up on some kind of. I just want to know. I want to experience the training side of remote viewing and what the protocols are. The problem is, I think for me is I'm it's not that I'm stubborn in my ways. I use remote viewing, but I also use other abilities, you know, all the different senses and stuff. So it gets a little bit more complex than that. But I'd like to, you know, so I'd love to
Anytime.
chat with you and your crew. And if I ever
Yeah.
get up to, well, I'm going to go through Georgia or sometime, and I'm up northern Georgia, I'm going to go, what's up, Jazz?
Holler at me. Yeah.
I
Listen,
definitely will.
Please holler at me for real. I even take you Bigfooting or something. It's we have some great spots up here.
That's going to be great. I will
Okay.
definitely go with you. And I just, you know, we have some cool stuff down here. Once we get stuff going again. We've got Class A stuff down here, which is pretty cool. And we'll talk offline about this. But I thank you very much. Jess can be found at thecryptidhuntress.com. You're on YouTube and all these social media platforms. Look up the Cryptid Huntress. Is there anything else you want to talk about quickly before we say goodnight to everybody?
Oh my gosh, I want to thank you for having me tonight. This has been really fun. You and I could probably talk for another 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, that's what I want to do.
Yes.
I don't want to do an interview show. I want to be like one of those shows, and I don't drink that much. Just you hanging out at the fireplace and like, oh, you remember that time that thing came out and grabbed, Shorty? Yeah, that's the show. And we also try to do some good things about, helping people make their days better. But one of the things we do is we end it with a song I wrote called You, and because if it wasn't for Jess, you and Oklahoma Nana and Marty and Lavone and everybody else that's coming in here, I can't thank you guys enough. Like, share, subscribe, do whatever. But thank you. And I'm going to talk to Jess behind the curtain, but we're going to end it now. All right.
Bye,
folks.
y'all. Thanks for having me.
You got it.
You, it's always been you. God showed me you. I have been searching decades for you. I found you, I lost you. My heart is broken without you. My soul aches for you. I need you, I want you. My days are filled with you. I've seen the future with you. My home is with you. I have felt the future with you. My nights are filled with you. Love is you. True love is you. My happiness is you. Every past life is with you. My dreams are filled with you. Life is meaningless without you. My future is with you. I will fight for you. I will defend you. I will give up my life for you. Whatever it takes for you. Nothing else matters but you. I love you. I love you. I love you. God showed me you. I have been searching decades for you. I found you, I lost you. My heart is broken without you. My soul aches for you. I need you, I want you. My days are filled with you. I have seen the future with you. My home is with you. I have felt the future with you. My nights are filled with you. Love is you, true love is you. Love is you, true love is you. My happiness is you. Every past life is with you. My dreams are filled with you. Life is meaningless without you. My future is with you. I will fight for you. I will defend you. I would give up my life for you. Whatever it takes for you. Nothing else matters but you. I love you. I love you. Life is meaningless without you. My future is with you.